It is time for What's Hot, where we talk about the stories that have everybody talking.
And we are joined now by Jon Anne Willow from ThirdCoast Digest, or ThirdCoastDigest.com, whatever you want. Plus, Jeff Wagner is back.
And we've got Jon Anne strapped down for this first topic here. West Bend Republican Glenn Grothman's bill that would formally consider single parenthood a contributing factor to child abuse is getting national attention. He was on CNN this morning saying it is time for the government to step in.
And what I'm saying is, if we as a society are going to go to the point where it becomes outright rare that a child be raised with their biological mother and father at home, we ought to be talking about these statistics a little bit.
Well,
because I think this huge sea change is being.
It's not.
It will be. We're headed rare.
Let me get.
There's been a huge backlash against Grothman's bill and comments by that lawmaker saying that many single mothers choose the lifestyle so they can get government benefits. Will this bill pass amid the backlash, and what are your general thoughts on it? And Jon Anne?
God help us all if it does pass. As we were talking earlier in the studio, these are strange political times, and cruelty seems to be not off the table anymore. The idea that you can link an unfortunate circumstance for some and a choice for others to abuse in the home, yes, it is true. Not 20 times like Grothman is saying, but about twice as often. Children from single-parent homes are abused. Oftentimes there are lots of things going on in those circumstances, but to blanket that and to have the government step in and interfere is unconscionable. And also to say that women have children simply to get benefits is also ridiculous as a societal norm. I'm out of my head about this one.
Okay, so we'll step back and watch Jon Anne's head explode. I don't think the bill is going to end up passing. I think it is legitimate to have a discussion in this country about, when you're talking about, single parents, is that the best way? Is that the ideal situation? And I think that's a fair discussion to have, because while there's lots of absolutely outstanding single parents, I think most people would tell you that, if you have the traditional structured, mom and dad family, that increases the chances that the kid's going to turn out right. I don't think that there's anything wrong with saying that. Beyond that, though, I agree. I think.
But what is the role of government in that? I mean, do you think that I was a single parent for 6 years? Was that by my choice? I didn't marry my husband just so that I could have a baby with him and divorce him so I could have the baby all to myself. I mean, let's just get real about the way life works. And I'm sorry.
But what's the flip side? A lot of times what you see, and you look at the thing that's going on in the city of Milwaukee, for example, where you have an inordinate number of births are to teenage mothers who, the father is not, the biological father's not in the picture at all. You've got babies having babies, and there's not another parent that's involved. Is it unreasonable to at least say, hey, maybe we should figure out if there's something that we can do to try to discourage that?
Right, and that's going to have to be the last word on that one, because we got to get to break, and we got to make sure that nobody violates any FCC ordinances here.
Or talks about birth control. Yeah.
Well, coming up next, this label is sparking outrage among many women. Are the care instructions funny or outrageous?
And connective tissue washed with ammonia and fed into 70% of the ground beef products that are sold in this country. Really? I don't think it's a question. Ban it.
Where is Michelle Obama on this? I'm told that there's all these nutritious school lunches that we should be having and having kids eat this stuff, and then you see this. I'm with you, Jon Anne.
Jeff,
I'm just telling you, I'm listening to this. We got to have these school lunches. It's all this healthy stuff, and it turns out we're putting this into the kids.
Well, what she wants and what she gets aren't necessarily the same thing, are they?
Well, apparently not. But I'm telling you, who runs the USDA? Let's get some control over this.
Yeah. Well, I would say that Michelle Obama might be a small piece of it, but the biggest fear is that we are feeding toxic chemicals to our kids that fast food restaurants won't even serve up, and that's saying something.
Well, I'm not going to take any digs at any of our political figures, but the fact of the matter is, as a parent, I think that a lot of parents just don't even know what this pink slime is, because I think that if most loving parents knew what was going on their kids' plate at lunch, they would be storming the school, because I find this shocking and really scary. And people wonder why, there's so many diseases in the world. It's scary what we're feeding our kids.
All right, let's give the ladies among us one more chance to get fired up here today. A woman found this care label on her boyfriend's pants. Under the care instructions, the tag says, quote, "Give it to your woman. It's her job. Have at it. I shall sit here in silence."
It's funny.
I personally think it's hilarious. I love it, and I'm sorry that the woman who found it in her boyfriend's pants got offended. I think at some point we all need to lighten up. I mean, if you look at network TV and sitcoms, it's okay 24/7, 365 to make men look like idiots, to completely castigate them and emasculate them, and we have one tag and one pair of pants, and the feminist world is on fire.
And let me guess, Jeff Wagner's outraged by this.
Yeah, I'm just absolutely. I couldn't. I was losing sleep over this.
Yeah.
It's sort of like it's sort of like the T-shirts you see the gals wearing that says "I'm with stupid" and it's got the arrow. You know.
Yeah,
the guys.
exactly.
It is. I was going back to Wagner's rule of life #1. Life is tough. Get a helmet. I don't know that I find this particularly funny, but I can't believe people are seriously going to be offended about it.
I thought number 1 was don't eat anything bigger than your head, and number 2 was spandex is a privilege, not a right.
No, those are further down on the list.
Those are down
Oh,
on the
are
list.
those down the list a little ways? Okay.
But
Just because it comes in your size doesn't mean you should wear it.
As
Right,
somebody who
that's-
does his own laundry, now I wouldn't even suggest this to my particular wife. Yeah, to my wife. So I'm out there. I'm doing my own laundry. So
We all do our own laundry at my house, and even the kids. Now
I
that
think
they're
it's
old
very
enough.
clever marketing. We're talking about them, and it's just funny. I mean, you've got to laugh at some things.
It's
in
a
life. It's not
hang
all this
tag. We're
serious.
discussing a hang tag inside
Exactly.
of a piece of pants.
It's like when we did the
Pair of
Snugglies
pants.
like 4 times a couple
Right.
years ago.
You know. All right. I guess we all agree that we can laugh. Thanks very much, guys.
Yep, thank
We're
you.
taking a break. We'll be right back.